Hello, hello. So here's the weekend review. This is the week ending in October 10th for the week starting October 13th. And so I've been uh, really thinking about what happened on Friday. And so just going to kind of dive into observations and we'll just see how Monday kind of opens up. But if you, um, I guess, missed it, so there was a humongous sell off across the board because there was some tariff stuff coming out of China where they didn't want to export rare earths, I think. And so I think they're kind of positioning themselves to better negotiate, I guess, tariff agreements and stuff with the U.S. And so I saw these kind of get posted on Financial Juice at 10:03, which was probably a few minutes. It was actually a few minutes late as far as identifying what was going on. And so that was interesting. And so we'll talk about that. And then looking the week ahead, not too many things happening. Monday is also a holiday. I think bonds are closed, but the stock market's open. So maybe there's some weird spotty liquidity. Not many people will be trading relatively. So we'll see how that looks. And nothing, lots of earnings, got some Fed stuff happening, retail sales on the 16th. And then I think I saw CPI got bumped to the 24th. So that I think that's like the a big thing to look forward to. So Monday might be a little bit sideways or maybe we drift. Not really sure. I'll look at the price charts and see what that looks like. Um, and then kind of thinking for Monday at least, not too much happening on NASDAQ earnings. And then Tuesday, I think nothing that I'm really worried about. Wednesday, I think the only thing I'm really interested in is United Airlines, but I don't see these being too crazy for the NQs. So we'll just kind of see. I did a quick search on Grok and all the AIs just to kind of get a view of what people are saying on Friday. Uh, Seems like still more bullish, more buy the dip. People obviously are always bearish, and then some folks are kind of mixed. So it's kind of interesting. And on GPT, basically 2,500, is the battleground. So I think that's pretty obvious. And then for kind of same thing with Claude, basically, 24,900 is kind of the line in the sand. I think we're guessing there's a 60% chance that we grind higher. So there you go. 40% chance that we fall over. So AI is more bullish, it feels like. So based on scanning the internet and social media. So take that with a grain of salt. And the Q flows on Friday was, bearish, obviously. And so it's bearish on Friday with expiry on Monday, so on the 13th. So this is all showing expiry on Monday. So bearish for the day. Um, so it's pretty interesting to kind of keep an eye on. And if we look at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, if we look at end of Friday, more bearish. So that's kind of what people are thinking here. And then for dark pools, I was looking at what dark pools were printed on the 10th. I don't know why the chart's not showing. But it looks like we had about 1 billion printed at this 589 level, which was basically like the low of day, more or less, if you do the conversion. Converting that 58937 to Qs is 24387. And so I marked that on the chart already, which was kind of the low. or I think maybe it even happened after hours, but I guess we will see. So everything looks like it's down, as far as options flow, but then AI seems like we're more bullish, which is interesting. And so what the charts are saying, so we'll come back to the trading chart. We'll just look at the indexes here really quick. So just kind of zooming out here, I'm just going to look at, so if we look at, see if I can get them all to be, here we go. So boom, 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 everything broke. I think the Dow broke the worst. Dow broke support all the way back till September. And I don't know, the Russell as well. Back to September. Maybe it's all the same then, yeah. Back to September and back to September. So, basically gave the whole month back of profits if you were long. So that is pretty rough. And on the VIX front, so VIX we're starting to spike up a little bit, which is good. I'm watching this 32 level to see if we get there. And pull back on the dollar. Interesting, it's holding up pretty well though, considering treasury yield kind of fell off, and gold didn't really. So we had that down day yesterday, and then on this tariff news, it really held that low and pushed back up. So I think that is people are rotating back into that, maybe even into the dollar, which is interesting. So, I mean, we'll see if this is kind of a quick spike up, but if you kind of see we are at this highs in July for the Dow, so this could be like a good support level. Similarly, with the Russell, we're kind of coming back into this area where we broke down from back in November 2024, but it's not as clean a support level, I think. And then for the ES, right, these highs from August could be interesting for support. And then obviously on the Qs, this high for July could be interesting. So we'll dive into that one a little bit more when I look at the trading charts. So I think going into Monday, like it's the question of, does something happen over the weekend and we push back up and all that, or do we gap down and keep going lower? I'm not 100% sure about. I guess it would have to. I think after hours on Friday, we did kind of gap down. So we'll have to see how the Asia session in London kind of play out on Sunday and just see where price ends up. I think if we are still below the low where we close regular trading hours, I think this is all trading hours. But if we are nearing the lows here, then obviously I think there's more downside. But I think given the liquidity that we might, or lack of liquidity that we might have on Monday, I think there might be more downside, but maybe not so extreme. So that's kind of my initial thought. I don't know that we'll have a quick spike back up on a Monday, unless there's news and all that. So that's kind of my thinking. Definitely leaning a bit more short bearish just based on all this, but it would have to. It's short below the low. Like if we're not breaking the low, then I don't know if we'll kind of fall back over to try to retest it. Um, so we'll just see what that looks like. If we look at the mega tech here really quick. Yeah, man, Apple down Microsoft, not so much down. Interesting. I guess it makes sense for Apple to be a little bit more down. Amazon, ooh, nice down candle. So we'll see if this breaks and it drags us down on pre-market. Oh man, Google. Yeah, I think with the whole everything that's happening with the tariff thing, with if they're not exporting rare earth, that's all the materials you'll need for all the things, AI, data centers, all that stuff. And so I guess it makes sense for Google to be down. Maybe Amazon, not so much. Apple, I suppose. Meta had a nice down there. NVIDIA, here you go. So this is the one. This is rough. So definitely we'll be watching this if we break the lows here. So I think for me this will be kind of our lead of which direction the Qs are going to go, or the NQ will go. So definitely going to put that there. And let's say if we can break back above those EMAs. So we'll just see what that looks like. So we'll definitely be watching that on Monday. Tesla down, down, down. The Qs are down. So I mean, it is what it is. I think interesting that Microsoft isn't selling off super hard, because I guess they're pretty diversified and not so impacted there. Google, NVIDIA is probably the biggest impact so far. So we just have to really watch how NVIDIA moves during the week. So there's that. Now for the Qs here, we can look at it a little bit more in detail. So if I look at the monthly, so I've been marking my levels already, but if I look at the monthly, right? So this, it kind of got there already. This high of August, it pretty much got there. So I think maybe we can get a little bit lower, sweep this level, this 24,092, and maybe that acts as support. Since we kind of broke out above it, now we'll kind of retest it and see if we hold. So that'll be interesting. If we really break that, then there's this next high that we're watching, which is 23,890. So I'm really watching what price does there. I don't know that we really break below that. I don't know. But first, it's just really, if price gets to this 24,079, how do we react? And if price gets to this 23,900, how do we react? That's really what I'm paying attention to. This thick line is that dark pools, and so we'll walk through that on the smaller time frames. But we'll just see how we kind of do here. And so I think maybe um, there probably is shorts more intraday for sure if we're below this. But then if we can hold this, maybe we do grind up. I'm probably really cautious on buying on Monday, but we will see. But these are the levels that I'm definitely watching. Yeah, and the weekly, kind of the same thing. And so yeah, that's really just what I'm looking for. I'm watching how price reacts here at these levels, this 24,150 down to 23,900s. Just seeing if price gets in that area and see what we do. If this dark pool level does hold, I don't know if I'm gonna long, but I would watch until we get to this 24,615, and maybe we fall back over intraday and hang it out. 24,830 even, I guess, would be another level I look to go short, but we'll just have to kind of see. And on the footprint here, yeah, I already marked all the imbalance levels. So we already saw these on the daily. So again, I'm just trying to see what price does there. And I will have to just look at things pre-market to see how we go. But yeah, we closed around here, and then we just kind of kept going, right? Like, so at 3 p.m. Central Time we closed, and then from there we dropped another 200 points after hours. And so I think we'll have to see how Asia and everything opens, but I feel like maybe we climb back up to here and then fall over. Like I would look for that after hours tomorrow, like maybe 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Central Time Sunday, to see if we can kind of get back up here. I would take that short for London going into New York session, to come back down. So we'll just kind of see. But I'm I'm kind of fighting the urge that we're just gonna gap down and all that, and try not to be greedy and think that would be the case. I would really like us to kind of push up, and then if buy or sell somewhere in this level, and then I would be willing to hold that overnight for kind of a short back down. But I would need to see a push back up. So we'll just see. I will definitely check on Sunday when the um, electronic trading hours opens for the NQ, just to see if there's anything there. But I think Monday definitely leaning short bias, but I don't know if I would chase it down. Just have to kind of see us push back up a little bit, and kind of take the short. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I mean, honestly, I'm looking for the shorts here on the NQs, but I'm really more not more focused, but I think there's a lot more opportunity in the option space right now with all the volatility. So I'm looking for the best play, and just trying to see if how things would look there. So the one thing I'm really trying to pay attention to, actually, and I forgot to kind of look at this. So we had this, you know, I think here maybe end of day on the 2nd. This is when Trump kind of announced the reciprocal tariff stuff, which I think he started talking about tariffs like in January and all that. But then tariffs news really dropped us down here, right? I think from this high to this low was a lots of points. Um, and then he had the 90-day pause or whatever, which kind of shot us back up. And so I'm wondering how, like, could we expect something similar here, right? So we had the news, we had the drop, um, big drop here, and then there was another day that we dropped it, and another day. It was like a 3 days of dropping, right? And so let's say if that continued here, let's say from the lows down to here, it's like 2,000 points or whatever. If similar thing happened, maybe we test these lows. I have no idea. I'm just looking at the last kind of event around tariffs and how price reacted. And so maybe this is like realistically in play. This level, this 23, we'll just say like these lows. Maybe that's realistically in play. And so from an option standpoint, swinging them down, like I'm really looking into that, and I'm going to be doing a deep dive here for myself. Maybe I'll record it, just kind of looking at all the things. But that is, you know, not for scalping or anything like that, but definitely I think there's potentially a swing opportunity to the downside here. So we shall see. If you look at kind of fib retracements from here back to highs, right? So we've haven't even hit this like 23 retracements, and then a 50 retracements down here at the 2000, which seems very far. But it feels like this could be within range, actually, like something for us to really pay attention to. I don't know if we'll get there. I'm not saying that we will get there. I'm just saying that if you're into retracements and all that, it's within play from a swing perspective. So there's that, right? But again, we could have like this candle here, like some news comes up where he makes a deal over the weekend and everybody's happy, and we have another crazy jump, right? And maybe that happens. Not sure. So I'm open to both sides. I just feel like maybe there's a little bit more downside, and so we'll just kind of see. But again, on the day trading scalping front, like I'm just kind of seeing how price reacts between these two levels. I think maybe we kind of come back up and then fall back over. Maybe not too much happening on Monday, given the holiday and everything. But so that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, I think down is the obvious direction. It's just a matter of how much down, and I will be looking for any type of retry and fail. We'll definitely go short for the Qs, and um, yeah, we'll just see how that goes. So I think that's it for me, as at least for the NQ weekly prep. We'll be back on Monday to kind of see what pre-market looks like, and we'll see if any trades come up on Sunday evening. Like I'm willing to take the trades if we can push back up a little bit, and have push back up and fail, and I will definitely take a short on Sunday. So all right, cool. Well, that's it for me. Good luck, and we'll see you back next week. Thank you.